Extreme tilt of the earth at nearly 24 degrees has and is creating extreme weather patterns around the world. Not just the 4 to 5 inches of snow that fell in Cairo, Egypt on the Sphinx and the pyramids for the first time in 112 years. Not just the snow blizzard that paralyzed Amman, Jordan. Not just the 19.7 inches that literally blanketed Jerusalem and allowed vandals to go in and vandalize the tomb of King David. But America's seen one of the most weirdest December weather patterns in history, and leaving 7 people dead and a lot of unanswered questions about the weather. But it isn't like we weren't warned. On Friday, I did a video called Extreme Weather, about extreme weather patterns. The extreme earth tilt could create extreme weather patterns. And I based on scientific research being done by Jesse Waltman at BP Earthwatch. And I felt led to go forward with a video as well. Well, it seems that Jesse was right, and we have seen an unbelievable change of weather patterns. I mean, unreal. Like right now, it's 66 degrees in New York City, and yet there was blizzard conditions in Amarillo, Texas. Are you serious? Tornadoes in Mississippi, floodwaters in southern Indiana, snowstorms and ice and sleet and hail and high winds and power outages and tornadoes. Are you serious? Let me just tell you what's going on. 7 people are dead, and I'm going to play from Saturday morning even. I'm going to play a little bit of what Jesse Waltman of BP Earthwatch said was going to happen, and then here's what happened. Well, 7 dead as unusual weather mix sweeps the nation and threatens holiday travelers. CNN's reporting at least 7 people are dead after a bizarre mix of weather across the country spawned off tornadoes, ice storms, and record-setting warmth. Say that again. Ice storms, blizzards, tornadoes, and record heat. 4 of the deaths involved 2 vehicle accidents in Kentucky. 3 people drowned in a rolling fork river near New Hope when a car drove into the water. 2 people escaped but were hospitalized with hypothermia, according to the Kentucky Emergency Management Office. In another crash in Kentucky, a rider on an ATV overturned into a creek near Carrollton, and I know where that is. I used to live not far from there, really, in Shelbyville, Kentucky, and was trapped underneath and died. Authorities have yet to release the identities of all these victims. Now, several flood warnings remain in effect during Sunday afternoon in Kentucky in their rivers and streams. There was also 2 deaths that occurred in Mississippi because of in Jasper County and Coahoma County, where severe weather damaged homes and knocked down trees, according to the Mississippi Emergency Management Agency. And that's where Jesse Waltman lives, in Mississippi. We also had to close a lot of roads in southeast Missouri because of flooding. Also, flooding and extreme cold and unseasonable warmth covered other parts of the nation. To make sense of all it, you have to take a tour of the North American tour. In other words, heavy rain, damaging winds, lightning continued. Storms spread across downpouring rains in Georgia, Florida, South Carolina, and up the East Coast. Also, Saturday night, that was on Sunday afternoon. Saturday night, the National Weather Service said there was tornadoes in central Mississippi, including 4 semi-trucks overturned and 5 houses heavily damaged. And some of the highest rain totals for Saturday occurred in Junction, Illinois, where 6 inches of rain fell. and Truman, Arkansas, where 7 inches of rain fell late Saturday night. Are you serious? And then there's Shelby County, Indiana. What they have? They had some low-lying areas there, had to be evacuated due to the rain and flooding. Also, temperatures were lower. Snow will come down across Iowa, and it did. Wisconsin, northern Michigan, they had blizzards. Some areas got 8 to 10 inches of snow. Also in Kansas and southeast Nebraska, they had snowfalls of 3 to 6 inches. They had a blizzard in Amarillo, Texas, as cars and semi-trucks on the highways were shut down. There was ice storms that occurred across other parts of the plains. But in the northeast, the temperatures were above average and breaking records. It was in the 60s. It was almost 70 in New York City. I mean, are you serious, folks? And now, let me just tell you a little bit what, let's go quickly. Here's what Jesse, and he mentioned about these extreme tilts of the earth and how it affects the electromagnetic shield of the earth, but also it affects the weather patterns. And I did a video then Friday saying, look, expect it. Expect weather patterns. I even typed the word extreme weather patterns. Well, that's exactly what we got. Solar update, Jesse said, extreme weather warnings. Now, here's his Friday morning. Is that Friday morning, December 1st? No. His Saturday morning forecast based on what he was seeing. And what I just read to you is what happened. Here's what he said it looked like could happen. And he was on the money, I have to say. He was on the money. Here's Jesse Waltman from his video, and you can go watch it in its entirety. It's got great graphs. His video on solar update, extreme weather warning, that he did on my birthday, early morning, December 21st, 2013.
Now, we're at that 24-degree tilt. We're so close to it. That's our maximum tilt. That's extreme weather because your wobble is greater. Now, we're going to have extreme weather, and you guys are aware of this. I'm not doing a weather report necessarily. I'm just showing you what is happening today because of this tilt in that coronal hole. We're getting extreme amount of moisture coming out of the Gulf. And where I'm at in central Mississippi right now, it's t-shirt and shorts. It's 72 degrees outside. It's extremely warm, and because of that warm Gulf air, it's going to collide. It's way too hot for December here, guys, even in Mississippi. I've seen it come in November like this, and a lot of people got killed. We don't want to see that. But before daylight, I'm afraid that's what's going to happen. It's supposed to be getting worse along the front line. Now, north of here, it's ice and sleet. You guys have got to be careful traveling and watch for power outages. It's a good time to have backup heat, backup plans, things like that, a little extra water. But look at the temperature gradient here. Again, in central Mississippi, you see it's 72, 73 down in New Orleans. It doesn't take long. You get into Arkansas, and you're in your 40s. But this is coming across our state, guys. And Mississippi happens to be the bullseye for this one. And let's look at from a satellite from the entire top half of the globe.
So he says Mississippi looks like the bullseye, and it was. Tornadoes broke out in Mississippi, and 2 people died there at least 2 died from tornadoes, of course. And then, of course, the extreme weathers of ice and snow. And he said you need to be careful traveling. And we heard, of course, that people drowned in car crashes and accidents in Kentucky. We know there's flooding in Illinois and southern Indiana this morning. And he also mentioned power outages. Folks, about 140,000 people lost power yesterday due to excessive snows and high winds. Everything that he talked about based on the earth tilting. Now, it's in the Bible. In the last days, it was prophesied we would see these events, these strange weather patterns, extreme weather patterns. And it says in Isaiah chapter 24, Verse 1, behold, the Lord maketh the earth empty, and maketh it waste, and turneth it upside down, and scattereth abroad the inhabitants thereof. Now that's talking about a pole shift right there in Isaiah 24:1. Then it says, you'll also begin to hear sounds. And I've talked about this before in a video I did on Friday, but I need to share it with you again. And if you're wondering why people are hearing all these sounds of the apocalypse, it's biblical. It says in Isaiah 24, same chapter, verse 16, from the uttermost part of the earth have we heard songs, even glory to the righteous. But I said, my leanness, woe unto me. The treacherous dealers have dealt treacherously. Yea, the treacherous dealers have dealt treacherously. You got to ask yourself, who's the treacherous dealers? Who's the prince of the power of the air? Who's messing with the pole shifting of the earth? Do you know who the dark angel is? By the name of Lucifer. Now, here's what he says also. Then fear and the pit and the snare are upon thee, O inhabitants of the earth. And it shall come to pass that he who fleeth from the noise of the fear shall fall into the pit, and he that cometh up out of the midst of the pit shall be taken in the snare. For the windows from on high are open, and the foundations of the earth do shake. And we're talking about extreme weather and extreme earthquakes, and I'm going to give you an earthquake report. You're not going to believe this. And extreme pole shifts in Isaiah 24, and sounds. Some people hear it. The righteous hear beautiful sounds. We're hearing sounds of the apocalypse around the world, but we're also hearing booms and groans and moans and sounds cracking from the pit or the middle or the center of the earth. And here's what the Lord also said. Same chapter now. Isaiah 24, verse 20. Let's go to verse 19. The earth is utterly broken down. The earth is clean dissolved. The earth is moved exceedingly or extremely. The earth shall reel to and fro like a drunkard, and shall be removed like a cottage, and the transgression thereof shall be heavy upon it, and it shall fall and not rise again. So you heard Jesse talk about the wobble. He's talking about the extreme tilt. He's talking about, and what's it doing? It's creating these unbelievable extreme patterns around the world. Now, Jesus also knew that these events would happen in Matthew 24 when he says there will be wars and rumors of wars, and nation will rise against nation. He said there will be famines and pestilence and earthquakes in divers places, but all of these are beginning in sorrows. Then when you go to Revelation, it talks about, of course, all these apocalyptic events, including major earthquakes and every island and mountain moving out of its place. Now listen to this. Troy said this to me from North Carolina. We had 35 earthquakes, folks, in the last 24 hours. 35 of them. And some of the significant ones, first of all, 4.7 earthquake hit Lone Pine, California. They also had 4 other earthquakes, all about 20 to 30 minutes apart, that were smaller. There was also a 4.8 in Papua New Guinea. There was a 5.1 in Fiscoli Islands, 4.8 earthquake in Tonga, 5.1 in Japan, 5.8 hit Guam, that's a big one, 5.0 again in Japan, 4.5 Indonesia, 4.8 in a different part of Indonesia, 5.4 Japan. And all 3 of Japan's earthquakes were in different locations. 4.6 in Peru, 4.6 El Salvador, 4.7 North Mariana Islands, and another 4.7, about 4 hours difference in the Northern Mariana Islands. So there's extreme weather patterns. And Reverend Gary got this to me. There's also a big sunspot on the sun. It's called AR 1928. It is crackling with M-class solar flares, magnetic fields spiraling away from the sunspot location on the sun's western limb are well connected to the Earth, raising the possibility of radiation storms around our planet. If